Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Shabbat Shalom. Again, we want to wish a Mazal Tov to Rabbi Taff, his entire family, who's joining us from around the country. We're going to have a short speaker right now that you might not think relates to an installation of Rabbi Taff, but it actually does. Shh. If you haven't heard this story, then you're missing something about what it means not just to be Jewish, what it means to connect to the land of Israel. As Rabbi Taff said in his beautiful story about Santa Claus, Coach will explain what that means later, but what it means to connect to people that don't know our story, not just as individuals, but as a people. We are blessed with hundreds and thousands of Jews in this city of Los Angeles. But when you are a Jew in Auburn, Alabama, I want you to think about what it means to be the representative of the Jewish people and the people of Israel. The guest that we're about to hear from is Coach Bruce Pearl, who is the head coach of the University of Auburn men's basketball team. Oh, we have one Tiger. Raise your hand if you're a Bruin here. Any Bruins? Okay, raise your hand if you're a Trojan. If you're a Trojan, you're not going to like Coach Bruce Pearl because he's about to play the Trojans tomorrow at 2:30 on national TV. But this past summer, Coach Pearl took his team, which was mostly made up of African-American young men who are not Jewish, to the land of Israel to explain to them what it means, not just to him, but what it means to us in this country of America. It became a national headline, and 2 years ago, during the national basketball tournament, there was a question about what it means, the war in the Ukraine. And Coach Pearl shared the story of Purim on a national level and what it meant to him as your Hebrew name is Mordechai, and what that meant. And so we wanted to make sure that he's literally here for 2 days. He came from practice at USC. He wanted to be here not just to greet Rabbi Taff and wish him a mazel tov, but to also explain to him what he's doing in the sports world, that what we're doing here matters as well. Just a couple of weeks ago in Auburn, Alabama, there were 175 young kids in college or high school that went to Auburn, Alabama for a Shabbaton hosted by Coach Pearl and then went to the game to meet his team. He is making connections that have never been done before. He was the coach of the U.S. men's team in Israel in the Maccabiah games in 2009, and he shared that because of what his team did this past year, team after team is now going to go to Israel in the summer. Instead of going to Italy, Spain, and England, they're going to travel to Israel to understand the land and to bring that message back to the people. He's very active with, not APAC, but APAC as well, but USIEA, which is education of Israel and Zionism. And he just was honored by Stand With Us in Philadelphia. And I cannot be more proud as not just a lover of sports and Judaism, but a lover of what this man has done for the Jewish people in the land of Israel. Coach Bruce Pearl, University of Auburn basketball. And he said this is better than any pregame meal, and Rochelle Marcus, better than the lox that they have in Auburn, Alabama.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Chag Sameach, right? Yes. I was asked to speak. Because I'm a basketball coach, and we're playing at USC tomorrow. Can I tell you why I agreed to speak? Because I'm Mordechai Shmuel ben Moshe Ber. I love being Jewish. I love my country. I'm a Jewish college basketball coach in Auburn, Alabama. Are you kidding me? This is the greatest country. It's the greatest country in the world. And I am also a Zionist. I live and work in the African-American community because I'm a basketball coach. I live and work in the evangelical Christian community because I live in Alabama. And so one of the reasons why I took my team to Israel was because you hear so much from people when you go there. So what can we do? What can we do? Come visit. Come visit. And I did. And we were able to do some wonderful educational programs with our student athletes. They couldn't believe how welcome they were. They couldn't believe how diverse the country was. They couldn't believe how good the basketball was. And now they're going to come. They came back. And in fact, they played against Danny Avila, who's going to be playing here with the Clippers here shortly. And they've got a completely different way of looking at Israel. And because they go to church and because they read the Bible, they saw where Jesus walked. They saw where Abraham sacrificed Isaac. They saw these things that were in the Bible, and they went to Israel because their grandmother couldn't quite get there, or their family couldn't quite there, and their family sort of lived, through them. So that's why we've done it. I'm very happy to announce that next August, after Auburn is gone on this incredible tour, that Syracuse University and Jim Boeheim is going to be traveling to Israel to play. This will be, UConn was the only team that ever did it before. We were the second team to do it. And Syracuse is also going to go to the UAE. And they're also going to play in the UAE, absolutely. And we're going to be talking about, it's going to be called the Abraham Accords Cup. And the idea for USA teams or Israeli teams or teams from Morocco or USA or, the other countries in the region that have decided that they want to live in peace and they want to be great neighbors. And that's obviously what we're trying to do. One of the things that breaks my heart when I go to Israel gets so much misinformation about there. And I feel bad for our young kids that aren't necessarily equipped with the information about Israel, or because they're so young, they don't remember when the state of Israel was born. For those of us that are a little older, that maybe emigrated from some different countries, either here or to Israel, we've all got an Israel story. Here's my Israel story. I'm 62 years old. In 1967, my grandfather, who was a plumber, went to temple all the time, was Orthodox. Even though he was a plumber, he'd wear his plumbing clothes to synagogue. And even though he didn't have a suit and a tie on, he was still respected in the community. And my dream and my goal was to be old enough to rap tefillin with him someday, and I did get a chance to do that. Unfortunately, he died about 6 months after my bar mitzvah, but here's the story. Papa's watching TV. It's 1967. He's crying. Papa, why are you crying? Papa, why are you watching TV? You never watch TV. You always go to bed. Put me up on his lap. He told me about Israel. He said, I'm afraid to go to sleep because right now it's the middle of the 6-day war, and I'm afraid that Israel's not going to be there when I wake up. And my papa was in tears. That was enough for me. Then he told me about his family. Papa came to this country when he was 11 years old with 3 younger siblings. He was the oldest at 11. His parents could not afford to come. Other members of his family could not afford to come. They stayed, and they didn't make it. Papa told me that if Israel perhaps in 1932 was a state, more of his family could have gone from Turnipole to Israel, but they couldn't afford it. From that point forward, I'll do whatever I can to support the state of Israel and love the state of Israel. Absolutely. I'm preaching to the choir here. I'm not telling you guys anything that you don't know. But, in a Christian community, we do read the Bible. We read it a lot. And I was in my Bible study the other day, and we were actually in Genesis 47, chapters 28 through 30. And Jacob was talking to his son, put his hand underneath his thigh. He had been in Egypt most of his life. And he says, son, I'm getting closer here. And when I die, take me to where my father's buried. Jacob said, take me to where my father's buried. His father's buried in the cave of the patriarchs. His father is buried right there with Abraham and Sarah in a community called Hebron. Today, Hebron is about 95% Palestinian. But it says right there in the Bible, take me to where my father was buried. I grew up my whole life being told that Hebron was part of the occupied territory, not Judea, not Samaria, not where Abraham was buried. Israel just didn't happen because of the Holocaust. We've been living there for centuries with our neighbors. What I want to try to do in my work in Israel, people don't understand. There are 9 million people in Israel. 6 million are Jewish, 3 million are Arab. That's diversity. I would love, and I think this is possible, for the Israeli Arabs to be the envy of the Arab world, to be the most successful, the most educated, the happiest folks that you could possibly imagine. Now, it's very, very difficult. It's very difficult right now because of the situation with the Palestinian Authority and some of the leadership, so on and so forth. But it's happening. There are wonderful communities in Judea and Samaria. If anybody been to Ariel? Anybody ever been to Ariel? Ariel is an absolutely wonderful community with a wonderful university right there in the heart of all this. And it's Arabs and Jews working together. One of the things I support the Judea-Samaria Chamber of Commerce, where you have Israelis and Jews working together in business so that people can be prosperous. Rabbis, like, I thought you were going to talk about coaches and basketball and stuff like that and sports. And certainly, obviously bringing my team over there, was a very, very big part of it. But it's also getting that other message out. And for me, I'm here partly also to thank you. In Los Angeles, in this community, this synagogue, this temple is recognized as some of the greatest supporters of the state of Israel. And so part of the reason why I wanted to come today is just to say thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for all that you do to support Israel. And I do appreciate the fact that you all have found a way to blend, sports and Judaism and be able to blend those things, together. And that's what the Maccabi game. If anybody ever been to the Maccabi games? Anybody been to Maccabi? If you've been to those games, it's incredible. We take thousands of Jewish kids from all over the world every 4 years to Israel. And like Rabbi said, in 2009, I took my team there, and we actually won the gold medal. We played Israel in the gold medal game. Thank God Israel doesn't lose very often at home. And the referees in that game, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, I wasn't getting any calls at all. I was just getting screwed. But we still came back and we won. And my dear friend David Pumpus here, he was on the committee to raise the money to help me take a group of incredible Jewish kids over to Israel. On that team, my son, who will be the next head coach at Auburn, Todd Golden, who is the head coach at Florida right now, also a Jewish coach, John Shire, who's the head coach at Duke, Josh Pastor's the head coach at Georgia Tech. There aren't many of us, but there are a few of us. I happen to be one of my greatest achievements in life. I'm historically one of only 5 Jewish coaches in the history of the Final Four to ever take a team to the Final Four. And that's something I'm very, very proud of. I'm very, very proud of. So, Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi, congratulations. Thank you for, I've just not been in this room with as many Jews in like a year because I live in Alabama. This is fantastic. It's really, really, really good to be with you and to be amongst you. And I know it might be difficult, but blood is thicker than water. You've got a Jewish coach against USC tomorrow. All you UCLA Bruins should be rooting for Auburn because we're playing USC. And all of you that are a little torn, I'm Jewish. The coach at USC is not. Thank you very much.
Coach Bruce Pearl, really a magnificent leader in the Jewish world, in the sports world, in the America-Israel relationship. We cannot thank Coach Pearl enough for being here. Go Tigers tomorrow, ESPN 2:30 on the national level. Shabbat Shalom.